Welcome to Pi 2012. And some people's names are only up there that were really important to making today happen. Particularly this group, folks, has just been tremendous. And there's no way that, well, we'll see if our assembly happens, but there's no way this assembly could happen without this amazing group of women. So I had sort of imagined us as Rachel and the Calculettes, but it's really them plus me. So here you see the number pi. Actually, you see only the first 600 digits or so of the number pi. Pi is an irrational number. It goes on and on and on. It doesn't repeat ever, and it doesn't end. Now, the importance of it not repeating is that if it started to repeat, then we could tuck it nicely into a little fraction, and then we would say it stopped. So, for example, you know a repeating decimal 0.333333, right? Well, that's just a third. So if we could figure out if these digits would start repeating, then we could say, okay, let's just tuck pi into a fraction, but it never gets that way. It always adds on new numbers that don't repeat and just go on, and there's no discernible pattern. And that's part of the romance of what pi is like. Now, pi appears in a lot of useful formula that you know, such as circumference and area, right? And it also appears in a whole bunch of bad math jokes, such as pi are not squared, pi are round, and of course when pirates calculate areas of circles, they say pi r squared, and similarly entertaining high forms of humor that we would not want to live without. So when we took a look at the number pi, we said it went on and on and on. There were no repeats. But that wasn't firmly established until the 19th century. Someone finally came up with a proof that pi was an irrational number, in fact, a transcendental number, a particular kind of rational number. And so until that was quite firm, it was a great interest to people to figure out whether pi ever repeated. And so there was a movement, a desire across many cultures to get more and more and more digits of pi until you could, so that you could investigate to see if there was some repeating pattern somewhere. And the latest record for figuring out how many digits of pi are out there is 5 trillion digits. And that was done last September by a team of a Japanese mathematician and an American computer scientist. And in all those 5 trillion digits, there is not a single string of digits that regularly repeats, as the theorem predicted. But one of the earliest people to look for pi was a Greek mathematician named Archimedes. And he used a technique called well, exhaustion, sometimes it's called method of exhaustion, but he probably felt that way. What he noticed was that if you had a bunch of regular polygons, the formulas for which we know pretty well, if you increase the number of sides, eventually it starts looking like a circle. And so what he figured out was the area for a polygon with 96 sides, and from that he could infer what pi was equal to. And he came pretty close. Are his estimates up? There we go. He's off in the third decimal place, so because he rounds to about 3.14. That's pretty impressive for someone who was not working with paper calculations, much less any kind of microchip. He drew out his polygons literally in sand to do his work. This question was of interest to people all around the globe. So parallel with Archimedes were 2 Chinese mathematicians. And one of them was Li Hu. And he extended, well, I don't think he was aware of Archimedes' work, but using the same method, he got out to a polygon with 3,072 sides and got within 10/10,000ths of the correct value. And then in the 5th century, there was another important Chinese mathematician, and actually it was an astronomer, his name was Zhu, and he came up with a very good fractional estimation for pi, which was 355 over 113. It's just a little bit better than the 22 sevenths that you often use. Do folks here use 22 sevenths ever to estimate pi? So pi has developed its own bit of geek culture around it, and one of them is memorizing digits of pi, which is a kind of geek show-off thing to do. And you're sitting at dinner or something, and you drop the notion that pi is 3.14159226933462643384462643383279. Check me. 508? Sorry? 502? Okay. All right. So, and that substitutes quite nicely for geek dinner conversation. And I know that there are folks here at Burke who can do the same thing. Matthew, are you want to come up and...
3.14159265358979932384. That's all I know.
Yeah! And Zach is, where are you, Zach?
It's been a while.
59286.
So, that's a lot of fun to do, but one of the frustrations of learning pi is realizing that you really just can't learn all of it, because every time you learn so many digits, there are actually infinity more left to memorize. So, you add on another 20 to your repertoire, and there are still infinity more to memorize. And emotionally, that can be really hard to face that problem. So, let's think about that.